promo video from the gym?
Yeah. It's a little old, but it shows some of the stuff you do. We looked at your website, and a lot of them are
Right.
on social media because you're such a social media presence.
Right, right.
But we looked at your restaurant and everything. So, could you tell us a little bit about what what all did you do and how you do it? 'Cause I know you got a story. So, can you tell us a little bit about that? We got some great questions going to in a second as well.
Okay. So I am Natasha, better known as G.I. Jane, professional bodybuilder, life coach, gym owner, restaurant owner, chef, many titles. So I guess basically how I got into all of this was this because this is not what I went to college for. I went to the University of Ole Miss. I have a Bachelor of Arts in Psychology and a minor in Gender Studies. So I guess I'm still using that because with personal training, you definitely have to use that psychology to help clients, especially also with life coaching. But when I was in college, of course, I did not think that I was going to be owning a gym. You know, my parents are military. So it was always put in me that I was going to go to the military and, you know, stay in for 20 plus years and then get out, have good retirement. And that was basically it. And so I learned early on that that was not for me because just didn't, I'm a very structured person because I was raised military, but I did not like people telling me what to do, I guess. I was like, I'm going to be my own boss. I'm not going to have to deal with people telling me, you know, what time I need to be at work or whatever else. So I learned early on that military was not for me. And then at the time, I was suffering with alopecia, which is an autoimmune disease that attacks the hair follicles, causes the hair to become at a rest. So my hair came out in 2005 and I, you know, was going bald and afros at the time. And back then, 2007, the military was not as lenient with women and their hairstyles. So that was another reason why I was like, yeah, definitely not going to be doing the military thing because I like to wear my hair in different styles and I don't want anybody telling me how to wear my hair. So got out of ROTC. I did ROTC 3 years at Ole Miss. And then I had my child and my plan was to go to Ole Miss Law School because that's what my uncles did. My uncle is a judge and they were big in the civil rights movement. So I knew I either wanted to be either in law enforcement or some type of lawyer. So after that, I had my daughter and that just shifted everything. Okay. Because I had to move back home and go back and forth to Ole Miss, you know, to try to get my degree and finish college. And so once I moved back home is when I started to find my passion because I put a little weight on. I've always been athletic. I ran track for Jim Hill. I also ran track for Northwest. I was definitely ahead of my time. If they had powerlifting, I would have been on the powerlifting team in high school. They actually have it now at Jim Hill, but they didn't have it back then. So, but I was always this muscular girl, very athletic because of my dad in the military. So when I moved back home after having my daughter, my dad was like, listen, you are going to have to get this weight off and that's just non-negotiable. So, which I didn't gain that much weight, but you know, postpartum, you just eating, the baby's crying. So he got me back into the gym and that's when I found my passion. And so I always tell people, you know, when you're deciding what you're going to do to, you know, find your passion and not do what society is pushing you to do, not do what your parents are pushing you to do, because my parents were pushing me to do, you know, the military thing. And, you know, society was pushing me to do the 9-to-5 thing, but I tried it. You know, I went and got a little 8-to-5 job and I was miserable. You know, we had to be in our seat at 7:50 in the morning and I worked downtown at the tax collector office. So, you know, it was a lot of money. It was very structured. It was, you know, We only got 15-minute breaks, 30-minute lunch. I was like, this is not for me. Like, it take me 30 minutes to heat up my food, you know? And so, and then I was competing at the time, and I wanted to be able to, have that leisure to eat when I needed to eat, because you have to eat on schedule as a bodybuilder. So I was just like, nah, this not for me. So I found that my passion was, me helping other people, because I am a survivor of sexual assault, domestic violence. And so I love being able to share my story and help other women and men. And bodybuilding was like that thing for me that helped me to heal. Working out helps you to release endorphins, and it causes you to be happy. And so I was like, okay, this is my thing, and then people started reaching out to me, can you help me? And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna be a trainer, a personal trainer. Even still at that time, I had no clue that I was gonna, be this big entrepreneur. But that's what I did. I just went with the flow. I found something I was very passionate about, and I worked it. I gave it 100%. I showed up every day, and I learned the craft. I had a wonderful mentor who taught me everything about owning a gym, the gym business, the good, the bad, the indifferent. So I started to, like I said, develop a passion. And I was like, okay, it just hit me that this is what I wanted to do. I knew that I didn't want to work there forever. I just wanted to be able to learn the craft and get all the knowledge that I needed, and then go on my own. So then a couple years after working, I worked there for about 5 years at Quest. Then I stepped out, and that same gym owner, who was also my mentor, he gave me a chance to take over one of his gyms. So the gym that I own now used to be one of his gyms that I started out managing back in 2013. So, I also tell people, it's not about really what you know, it's about who you know, because coming into this, I didn't know anything about owning a gym, but I knew someone who believed in me, who, saw something bigger than what I could see in myself. And he nourished that thing in me, and gave me a chance to own a gym. And now, almost 3 years later, I have my own gym. We're changing, the face of Mississippi. That's our goal, is to get us off of the #1 state for hypertension, for childhood obesity. And then after that, I've always been, one that cooks. And so that's why I always tell people, when you start to look over your life and the things that make you happy, the things that you're passionate about, then you start to see that this is where the path was taking you all along. A lot of times, like I said, you get wrapped up in what your parents want you to do and what society wants you to do. But when I look back, even at Ole Miss, I had a love for cooking. All the girls used to come down to the dorm room and be like, what is that cooking? Because they didn't know how to cook. So I was always cooking, and I started selling, plates in college. I was selling fettuccine, spaghetti, salad, banana pudding for like $20, in the dorm room. So when I look back now, it's like, wow, I always had that passion for cooking, but I never knew that I would be doing all of this. So fast forward, after starting my own gym in 2018, then 2020, I just, 2019, actually, I was like, okay, I had already been meal prepping for people for the last couple of years out of my house. And it just got to be overwhelming, because, going back and forth to Sam's and, cooking all this food for different people, it was overwhelming. So that same owner, he actually owns this entire strip. And he was like, listen, I got another spot that, is not working out. Would you like to, have this spot for yourself? And so I was like, okay, let's do it. I've been wanting to have a healthy meal prep place, because in the beginning, it was really only supposed to be a food truck. I had gone with one of my investors to look at some trailers, and God was like, no, he's like, bigger. You got to think bigger, because even when I think about the gym, I was playing it small. I had a place down the street from here that I was looking at, and it was only about 1,000 square feet. It used to be like a beauty shop or a barber shop, and I was going to be okay with that. But God was like, no, we going higher. And so that's when the owner presented this spot to me. And so, fast forward, like I said, a year later, 2 doors down, he had another spot that was not doing so well that he decided that he was going to also give to me. And that's when I was like, okay, the food truck idea, obviously God wants me to do something bigger. So 2020, the end of 2019, I decided I was going to open up a healthy meal prep restaurant, is really all it was going to be in the beginning. But I took a trip down to New Orleans right before the pandemic, and I ate at this amazing vegan soul food restaurant. And I had just decided to go vegan because my holdup for me was that I'm a bodybuilder and I didn't want to lose my muscle. So I was watching these documentaries on Netflix, What the Hell, Forks versus Knives, Game Changers.
What the health was eye-opening.
Yes, I'm telling you, it was an eye opener. And I was like, wow, like throw the whole animal away. I'm not going to eat that again, and really
so the body.
Yes, so I decided, cold turkey, because I'm that type of person. I'm a 0 to 100 type of person. Like I said, whatever I put my mind to, I'm going to do it 110, 150%. And so I decided just that next day that I was going to go vegan. I did the same thing when I shaved my head. I just woke up one morning and was like, listen, I'm going to go bald, and that's where I got the name G.I. Jane from. But I went vegan last year at the beginning of 2020 and went down to that vegan restaurant down in New Orleans. And I was like, wow, this is vegan soul food, like mac and cheese, cornbread, like say it ain't so. So I'm like, I can still be able to eat those same things, but it be healthy and it's vegan. So I was like, I got to bring this to Mississippi. So that's when I made the decision to not just have a meal prep restaurant. I decided to make it a vegan soul food restaurant because I'm like, it's Mississippi. You got to do something that's going to draw people in. I was always taught that, if there is not a demand for it, like to create it. So I was like, okay, this vegan thing is still, people are still trying to figure out what it is. So, when you're finding out what you want to do, you create your own lane. I've always said that instead of me trying to get a seat at this table and get a seat at that table, I was going to build my own table. I was going to create my own lane. And if there was a need for something and we didn't have it here, I was going to create that. So because I've traveled the world and seen many things, that's the reason why my gym is something different than what you see in different places in Mississippi. I don't just have your typical gym. I have a studio style gym, something that you would see out in California, in Atlanta, and I wanted my restaurant to be the same thing. So that's why I actually call it an eatery as opposed to a restaurant. When you come in, it gives you that home feel, like you're going to grandma's house. It's a different feel than a lot of the different places around here, as well as we cater to everything. I look at different cultures. You want to, when you're finding out what it is that you want to do, you want to study what other people are doing and see how they're doing it. So I study other cultures and I'm like, wow, you go to the nail shop, like my nail lady, she's Chinese. And when I go to her nail shop, she's got everything. It's a one-stop shop, So when you go there, she's making sure that she's tapped into everything. So I said, okay, I want my restaurant, my eatery to be that same way. So when you come to Mind, Body, and Soul Foods, I've created that space where we've got your supplements and we do your meal prep and we have your different events, your conscious conversations where we sit at the table and we have higher level conversations. So I created a space, for us to be able to tap into all levels. So when you come, you don't have to say, okay, well, I have to go there and get one thing and then go somewhere else and get another. You can come here and I've hit all angles. So, I created something that we had a need for here in Mississippi, and that's what you want to do. And even though in the beginning, right now it's hard. I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat it because I decided to open up a vegan soul food restaurant in the fattest state in the US in the middle of a pandemic, And so when I look back, I'm like, I don't know if I would have still done it if I'd have known it was a pandemic. I probably would have because I'm just that type of person. I like to take risks, but, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I know a lot of people, when I came into this entrepreneurship, a lot of people didn't give me the goods and let me know the good, the bad, and the ugly. Like, I was very naive. I didn't write a business proposal. I didn't have a business plan. You know, I was just like, I'm gonna be a gym owner. And I just jumped out there and was like, all right, let me find a loan, you know, but I didn't write the plan. You know, I wrote the plan as far as like to myself. You know, you want to write the vision and make it plain because you want to know where you're going. And so I wrote that in that aspect. But as far as like writing a business plan and my projections of what I, you know, saw us making in the first year, in the first 5 years, and taking that to the bank and all of that, I didn't do that, you know, because I didn't have that type of guidance. My mentor, he, you know, worked a factory job for 20 some years and just took that money and opened up his gym. And then, you know, years later and 10 gyms later, you know, he finally became the man that he is now. But he never said, okay, you need to have a business plan, this, that, and the third, you know. And so I always tell people when I talk to them to make sure that, you know, you get up under somebody who can help you to write a business plan so you can have those projections. Because now I'm learning, you know, after bumping my head, to be able to write my numbers down and know, okay, this is what we brought in, this is what we spent, this is what I took home. Because when I hit the gym, I didn't do that. So, you know, when I got to my accountant, she's like, well, you make this amount of dollars. I'm like, where is it at? You know, because when I got in, I just jumped in head first and I wasn't looking at the numbers. But when I went higher and opened up the eatery, I had no other choice but to start writing my numbers down. And that came because of me getting up under people who were further along than me. Because you know, at one point everybody in my circle was just kind of doing just enough to get by. And so you want to get around people who make you afraid of your dreams, you know, people who are doing so much more, so because you have, you know, you want to learn so much more from them, you see what I'm saying? So I got around, when I got with my network marketing company, okay, at the end of 2019, which I've always been in network marketing as well, because I feel like, you know, you need something as to be able to make Wi-Fi money is what we call it. Because one thing we've learned in 2020 is that in the pandemic, when everything got shut down and people got sent home, it was those people that had a way to make money online that were still making money. Okay. And so that's why now everything is going to this digital age. Everything is online, and the shopping. And when you go into the shopping, everything is self-checkout now. And so I realized early on that you needed to have, millionaires have 7 streams of income. Okay. So one stream of income is just not okay, because like I said, what we learned in 2020 was that you have that one job and you think you're secure. You know, you've got your benefits and your 401k and you're going to retire after 40 years or whatever. But you learned in 2020 that security blanket was not a security blanket anymore. A lot of people lost their jobs, you know, their secure jobs. And so it was us that had a way to make Wi-Fi money online that kept me afloat. You know, it was my home-based business, my online business, Total Life Changes, with my supplements, that I was able to still finish construction, because I had to shut down construction because the money had stopped coming in, because I had to stop with the gym. I had to shut the gym down. That was one of the first places that they ruled, okay, we got to shut it down. You know, we were thinking, all right, we're going to be good. But then they were like, no, shut it down. So then, you know, I was like, okay, well, where I'm gonna get this money to continue to pay my contractors, because we were literally in the middle of building Mind, Body, and Soul Foods. And so I went into my, you know, my home-based business, my Wi-Fi money, and I was able to work from home and do what we're doing now on Zoom. You know, Zoom became big, it took off, you know, and that's how I was able to continue to finish construction and open up Mind, Body, and Soul Foods. But it was me getting up under those people in that company, those millionaires, where I was able to learn things like personal development, because I had no idea that in order for me to go higher in my businesses and being an entrepreneur, that I was going to have to become somebody different. I thought that those same things that I was doing, I was going to continue to be able to do. But I had to get down into some personal development because with each new level, you have to become a student again. And I had gotten used to being the boss and being the teacher, and I had to become a student again. And with it, I had to learn to not take things personal to, the 5 levels. I had to make sure that, I did my very best work, and that I showed up, that I was able to be coachable and listen to my coaches. And so me getting up under these top leaders in this company, not just helped me in that business, but it helped me all across the board, because how you do one thing is how you do everything. So how you are doing what you're doing now in school is also going to transfer into what you're doing at home, and also going to transfer into what you're doing in the community. So, with being an entrepreneur, you don't have anybody telling you to wake up at this time and to, show up at work at this time and make sure you get this done. I have to, have that discipline in this area of my life, because I got discipline in other areas, but I had to get that discipline where I was getting up, on time and showing up to work, even if don't nobody show up, and getting the things done, paperwork and all that type of stuff, and writing my numbers down. Like I said, that was a big thing for me that I learned in my network marketing company and being around these top leaders, was that you've got to keep track of everything, write your numbers down and have a plan and know where you're going and have those projections. And now that I'm doing that, it's helping to take my business to the next level. But you got to always be learning. You have to always be growing and always educating yourself, because times are going to constantly be changing. So you have to keep reinventing yourself. Basically, I have to, now that I own a gym and I own a eatery, and now that I'm trying to do different things in the community, I have to continue to reinvent myself. So I wish I had known that back then, ninth, you said they're in the 9th grade?
Yeah, 9th grade.
Yeah, like I wish I had known a lot of these things in the 9th grade, because then, I would have started developing that discipline. Like I said, I was disciplined in other areas because I was in the IB at Jim Hill. And so our stuff was very structured as far as our work. So once I got to college, I was very structured. I knew how to write a 20-page paper. So when the teacher said 5 pages, I'm like, that's easy. I can do that in an hour. I was very structured in that manner, but I didn't have any like business sense or entrepreneurship, because like I said, for so long, it was, I'm going to go to the military, or you're going to work an 8 to 5 and that's going to be it. So, with being an entrepreneur, it's a totally different world. And I say now, this is the information age. So it's like the ones that are coming behind us, they have no excuse as to being able to succeed, because the information is out there. You don't even have to search hard for it. You ask Siri and he gonna pull it up. She gonna pull it up, So that's the biggest thing, is to make sure you get up under a mentor, and that you be a student. Always be a student and be willing to learn, be willing to educate. Don't wait for somebody to tell you, what to do and how to do it. Go out there and learn it. Find your niche, find your passion, and work that thing, because the world needs, something that every person has in them, but they got to find that passion. A lot of people are working for somebody else, helping their dreams and never fulfilling their own dreams. So that's my biggest thing that I tell people now, is to find your passion. What are you passionate about? What makes you happy? And create that space.
Yeah. And before I get to these questions, I do want to mention, I've been to Mind, Body, and Slow Foods, and it is really, we talked about it, it's a different environment than any place I've ever been. And then we saw your video, and they were talking about, man, that looks really hard. That looks like I would cry. But it's not with you, like you talked about, personal training is not just about trying to hurt the client. It's about
right.
feel better and a total mind and body workout, because every one of your clients is not going to be a professional bodybuilder.
Exactly. And I tell my clients that I'm like, I don't train bodybuilders.
Just be more healthy.
Exactly. I tell people that all the time. I'm like, I don't train bodybuilders. I'm a bodybuilder, but I train regular people who are trying to be healthy. I train mamas, grandmas. I've had a client who was an amputee. She didn't have a leg on
wow.
one side and she didn't have a foot on the other side. She had, gotten off the exit to change her tire, and a car, got off the exit and drug her. So I, had to help her to rehabilitate. So I'm, skilled in training people of all ages and people of all, different levels. Whatever your limitation is, I have special chairs and things for that. So it's more so about tapping into that mental and being able to go to a place that you thought that you couldn't go, because really, pain is weakness leaving the body. It's all mental. It's 100% mindset as opposed to what you think you can
Yeah,
do,
and we
what
had some
you're not capable of.
athletes in here. We had some athletes in here, and even they were saying the workouts look tough, and I'm like, once you get our age, you got to do that kind of stuff. But they got some amazing questions. I want to get to some of
Okay.
these. This is Journey Simpson, and she asked, when people come to you and ask you about their body shame, are you hard on them, or do you just tell them how it is?
No, I don't. I'm not hard on my people. People look at me and they see, wow, G.I. Jane, and they're like all scared, like, oh my gosh, she's gonna beat me up, she's gonna be hard. But I'm really a softie. When you get to know me, you're like, wow, she is not who I thought she was gonna be from those pictures. I thought she was gonna be like really scary and just like yelling at me like major pain or something. But no, I sit down and I have a consult with my people when they come to me, find out what it is that they have going on. And this is a place of healing. So when you come, this is like church, we're going to cry together, laugh together, but we're going to get past whatever those issues are that person is having, whether it be that they are ashamed of their body, whether they've been through any type of abuse or whatever, because like I said, I've been through so much, from different abuse as a child to, postpartum depression after having my child, where, when you have a baby, your body changes and it doesn't look the same way. And so there were plenty of times where I did not even want to look in the mirror. I didn't always look this way. And my goal when I, first started working out really was just to look good without clothes on, seriously, and to be able to walk past a mirror and be like, okay, I like the way that I look. So when people come to me, that is my main goal, is to help them to look good inside and outside of their clothes and to feel good on the inside. So no, I'm definitely not hard on people. I'm gonna hold you accountable once you start with me and you tell me this is my goal, and I'm gonna stay on you. But I know just how far to push. Now, when I first started, I had one speed. It was just go, go, go. Yeah, I was hollering and screaming, but that was 8 years ago. And I learned that everybody is different. I learned that some people are fragile and I have to go at them a different way. And some people want to be yelled at and I can come at them like, come on, let's get it. But everybody isn't like that. Some people I have to take their hand and hold them and, come at it in a different light.
This is Jakelsi White. She's one of our best students, and she's a basketball player. She's asking, after crucial workouts, does your body still ache or are you used to it? Did you hear it?
No, I still get aches and pains. But I still get aches and pains, but at this point I'm used to it. In the beginning, I was just like, oh my God, this is too much. And, I can remember this company that I was with when I first started working out in 2013, they had this thing called Restore, and I would take those every night because I didn't want to feel the pain. But now, if I don't feel that pain and that soreness, I feel like I haven't had a good workout. So for me, that's how I judge, like, okay, because if not, I'm feeling like, all right, I'm plateauing and I need to take my workouts to the next level again. So I live for the soreness because then I know that I put my body, to the next level. So yeah, I love it. I love the soreness.
All right. And this is Ashley Stanford, and she said, do you ever have people try to quit on you? And if they do, how do you encourage them?
So I'm big on encouragement, on checking in. I check in with my clients all the time. Everybody will tell you that I call everybody king and queen. So I'm checking in like, hey, king, hey, queen. I'm not just going to take your money. I've gone to my client's house and picked them up. Now people gonna quit. It just is what it is. If their mind isn't right, I can't do anything about it. But those people that I can do something about, like I said, I've called them. I've gone by their houses and picked them up. I had one girl, you know, she was trying to quit because she didn't have no longer had a ride. She lived right down the street. I said, send me your address. I'm on the way. So I would go and pick her up, you know, people that their schedule is all messed up and they're wanting to quit. You know, I do virtual training with them, or, you know, I always try to find a way to help people to not quit. But if they do quit, I still check up on them, you know, for years to come. And then a lot of them end up coming back because they're like, man, you've been consistent. You've been checking up on me and following up with me. So for me, like I said, this is my passion. So I don't just come at it like, okay, they didn't show more than that. Like, this is personal. So when people quit, I take that to heart, and I'm trying to find a way to help them to stay, because like I said, I know what their goal is, what they told me that they want to do. They want to get off of high blood pressure medicine. They want to get off of fluid pills. They want to, you know, get this weight down, get out the 200. So I take that to heart. So when I feel that somebody is wanting to quit, I do everything in my power to make sure that they don't quit.
Yeah, and just from a business standpoint, people are, you know, if people see you have that passion, people are willing to pay money for it.
Exactly.
So if they know they're getting a return on investment, you know, people are going to pay top dollar for that. I talk about that in any class, because people are so worried about having the lowest price. The key should be having the best quality, because if you have the best quality, you can have the highest price.
Exactly.
Just got one more here, and this is
exactly, and that's something that you said.
Yeah, go ahead, finish. I got one more question for you.
No, I was just gonna say that. Okay. No, I was just gonna say that, you know, when you said that about having the highest quality, you know, I learned that early on, because I used to try to, you know, do cheaper prices to try to keep up with everybody. But I was like, I'm giving a service that nobody else around here is giving. So when you have that type of service, I'm like, then you can have higher prices. And then you stick by those prices. You like, my prices are what they are, but you're going to get an experience that nobody else can provide.
There you go. And for anybody watching this later, I'm telling you, it's not always about having the lowest price. It's about having the highest quality. Now, this is Deja Weaver, and she asked if this question was okay to ask. But I said, because it's a female to a female, because of who you are, I think this is important. She asked, do people treat you differently because of the way you're built?
Oh, yeah, because of the way I look. Yeah. Was that the question?
Yeah.
Okay, yes. Man, that has been the biggest issue that I have had over these, I mean, I can't even say the last 8 years. I can probably say over my lifetime, even in high school, the kids used to joke with me because I was muscular. And then, you know, when I became G.I. Jane, I'm bald, I'm super muscular, okay, and in Mississippi. So I walk into rooms and people just stop and they stare and they're like, oh my God, you know, like, so I just started, you know, commanding the room. When I walk into a room now, I walk into it like, I already know y'all looking. Hi, how y'all doing? I'm here, you know? So I had to have this big personality because I used to try to like live in these shadows. You know, I knew I had this calling on my life. I knew I had this assignment. And even when I used to try to hide, people were still drawn to me. So I decided I was going to own it. You know, that was going to be how I drew people in. Because, you know, my parents are old school and my mom would be like, oh, you're going to the grocery store with that on? I'm like, I'm a walking billboard for my business. So when people see me, they're like, even though they looking crazy, they still come back and ask, oh, do you have a business card? Do you own a gym? Are you a trainer? So for me being a walking billboard is a way that, you know, I bring people in and let them know that there's a different lifestyle. And I always let people know, like, you don't have to look like this. This is the way that I choose to look. I love my muscles. You know, my muscles for me are a way for me to say, listen, I overcame, you know, more physically. I am very strong. You know, I am a strong woman. And so me being bald, you know, I'm no longer bald because thank goodness my hair is growing back, you know, from the different supplements I take. But at the same time, people still see me with muscles. And, you know, for my wedding, take an example, you know, I decided, I was like, I'm not wearing a wig for my wedding. You know, I was bald and muscular in that dress, and people, you know, my dress and the video went viral. And there were people that were saying some really hateful things, like, she looks like a man. Why didn't she wear a wig? And, you know, I don't let those things bother me anymore. They used to bother me, but I'm like, people are not okay with the way that they look. And so they decide to take that and put that on you. So I own who I am. I'm very confident. Like I said, when I walk into a room, I own it. But I get that a lot, me being in Mississippi. Now, when I leave out of Mississippi, people are just like, oh my God, you look so good. And they want to touch my arms. And they just like, oh my goodness. You know, I get a lot of compliments. Or just like,
That's weird.
But it doesn't bother me because those, you know, those same people come back and be like, can you train me? I sure can. Come on, you know? So it is what it is.
All right, we're almost out of time, but I do want to ask, you know, I started my teaching career at Jim Hill. I don't know if you knew that. I started there 8 years ago. And
I didn't know that.
yeah, and so I can speak for what students go through at Jim Hill High School. You know, we're up here in Madison County. So you were exposed to a lot of things that these kids up here were never exposed to. I know about all the stuff that goes on in Washington Addition down there. All the, you know, there's so many kids in that school, all the stuff that goes on there. And it is, you know, I had a great experience. I have no negative, anything negative to say about Jim Hill, but it's the reality of that Jackson community. But, you know, just like these kids, you grew up in that area, Black, minority, woman, and you are rocking it with 2 brick and mortar businesses right now that are very successful. So you were exposed to things that these kids will hopefully never be exposed to, but yet you still made it happen. So how can you tell them to be just as successful as you become?
Yeah, like you said, you know, I grew up a military child. I was actually born in Germany. And then we settled here in Jackson. I was from the north side, so I was a very, sheltered child, you know, having grew up on the north side of Jackson. So going to Jim Hill was a culture shock for me. I was just not used to that type of environment. But at the same time, it humbled me, you know, it gave me a different sense of, you know, of the Black community, you know what I'm saying? Because like I said, being in the military, you are exposed to so much other stuff, you know, but going to Jim Hill and the things that I went through, I always tell people those were the best and the worst 4 years of my entire life. But I just, you know, as I got older and got to Ole Miss, you know, I'm big on counseling. I thank God for sending me to Ole Miss because they were a big community on counseling and, you know, mental health and things of that nature. And so in going to that, I realized, like I said, once I found out my passion, I realized that there's nothing more powerful than a made up mind that can take those things that are within them and share it with the world freely. And so I held on to that. There was a guy that said that, you know, in my college days, and I held on to that. And so despite what I saw and what I went through, I was like, I cannot be a product of my environment because, again, like I said, I was raised on the north side, but went to school on the west side. And so, you know, those 4 years changed me. But, you know, I was always reminded of where I came from, you know, so no matter what you go through in life, like you said, hopefully they will never have to be exposed to a lot of those things. But your why has to be strong. And I just kept remembering, okay, this is where I came from. This is how I was raised. And even though I went through these things during those 4 years, I would not allow that to define me. You know, I was listening to a lady this morning before we got on, and she said something profound. She said, you know, she got up every single time because she accepted the assignment on her life to be a non-negotiable inspiration when things are going great and when things are really, really crappy. And I was like, that is what has caused me to keep going, pursuing, you know, throughout my life, because I could have stopped when I got raped and been like, okay, I'm just going to be, you know, a victim. I could have stopped when I became a single mom and been like, I'm just going to live off of government stuff. But I was like, no, I ain't going to be living off a week and no food stamps and whatever else, you know, one, because some people had bad attitudes. I'm like, listen, I'm finna go out there and make it happen so I won't need this government assistance, you know. I could have stopped with the alopecia. I could have stopped when the pandemic happened and said, okay, this, restaurant is not for me. I could have stopped so many times. Like, I just lost my sister 3 weeks ago, and I could have stopped and been like, listen, I can't do this Zoom call. But, I made a decision. I accepted this assignment, this calling on my life. And so no matter what has happened to me over the course of my life, I'm only 32 and I've been through a lot, things that people will never go through, And so, but I accepted this calling on my life, and so no matter what I've been through, I refuse to let that stop me. And I refuse to let that be who I am.
That's awesome.
That's just what I've been through. That's not who I am. It won't define me.
Yeah, and we thank you so much for taking some time for us today. But before we go, just tell everybody where you're located and your IG handle. You got about 30,000 followers.
Yes, I am located right here in Ridgeland, Mississippi, right in front of North Park Mall, 201 Ring Road. My restaurant is on the corner, and then 2 doors down is my gym. The restaurant is Mind, Body, and Soul Foods, and my gym is G.I. Jane Studio X. And so on Instagram, I'm yes, so y'all have to come eat. Definitely come eat. Vegan is not what you think. Once you taste my food, you'll never want to go back to regular food. I promise you.
It is legit.
But on Instagram, I'm G.I. Jane. That's with a 3. So that's G_I_JAN3. And the reason why I did that, one is because I'm a trade club in the best sorority ever, the Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. I'm a trade club. And then I knew I was always going to be big. So I didn't want anybody coming back saying, you owe us some money, G.I. Jane, because you took the name, So that's why I don't use the E, I use the 3. So I'm G.I. Jane with a 3 on Instagram. Also on Facebook, I'm G.I. Jane. I'm also Mind, Body, and Soul Foods on Instagram, underscores in between everything. So it's mind _ body _ and AND _ and then Soul Foods with a Z. And that's all together. So yeah, I'm all over social media because one thing about it is if you plan on having a good business and having a product, social media is where you have to build a audience. So, and that social media can also be your resume. If you are trying to work for a company, because everybody's not meant to be an entrepreneur, but if you are trying to work for a company, social media is your resume. So I wish they had told me that earlier. Look, be very careful what you post on social media because it will come back to bite you years later.
Yeah. That was some great stuff. And thank you so much. You're such an inspirational person. And I know you had a lot going on. We thank you so much for taking the time for us today.
Thank you. If you can, send me the recording of this. I would love to have that.
Oh, it's recorded, of course, and so other kids will see this later. So, thank you so much. I'll come by there and eat.
Okay, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate you and everything that you're doing.
I appreciate it. See you later.
All right, see you later.